Here are my Game Week 9 score predictions for the 2023/24 EFL Championship season. Quite a lot of these teams are in action during midweek with their Carabao Cup ties, but the first game of this game week is on Friday night, where Sheffield Wednesday are taking on Sunderland. Sheffield Wednesday, 3-0 defeat against Swansea City in their last game, and Xisco Munez's time is pretty much over. By the time of recording this, he is currently still their manager, but with still a few days to go until the first game week, he may be sacked before then. But at the time of recording, he is still with us. Don't think he will be with us for very long, though. Sunderland, though, their opponents, they went on a very good run, although they did lose in their last game. It was a 1-0 defeat against Cardiff City, but I fully expect Sunderland to bounce back. I'll back Sheffield Wednesday to get one. They do manage to find a goal sometimes, but I'm going to go for a 3-1 away win for the Black Cats in this one. We move on to the Saturday, the 12:30 kickoff, where Southampton, 4 defeats in their last 4 games. They're facing Leeds United, 2 teams that came down from the Premier League last season. Could say they have had their struggles this season, although if you have a look at Southampton's past form, it's not looking good for them. Currently sat in 15th place. Their fans, way below expectations at the moment. They at least want to get top 6, preferably in those automatic spots as well. Their opponents, Leeds United, didn't start off the season in the greatest way, but they've pushed up the table now. Currently in 6th place. Southampton's really got to do something with that form. Russell Martin, it's not looking good for him at the moment. I am going to go for a draw in this one, though, a high-scoring 2-2. I do think that Southampton will be able to pick up something from this game. It's such a big game, and they're going to have to pick up something in this game because, as I said, it's not looking good for Russell Martin. We move on to Ashton Gate, where Bristol City are taking on Stoke City. Bristol in their last game, 1-0 defeat against Leicester City, pretty much expected. But before that, Bristol City's form, it's been absolutely amazing. Stoke City, on the other hand, currently in 20th place, definitely not good enough with the 18 signings that they brought through the door. Stoke losing 3-1 to Hull City in their last game. You could say it was against a tough opponent, but you expect Stoke to do a lot better. The defence was all over the place in that first half. They were 2-0 down. Second half was a bit better, but when you're behind in the game, you have to try and get back into it. So they went attack and left the defence exposed. Hull got a third one. It was all over. I'm going to go for a Bristol City 2-0 victory in this one, unless Stoke City suddenly decide to turn up on one of their days and put 5 past Bristol, but I can't see it happening at the moment. Stoke, they are in trouble. How long does Alex Neil have left? Move on to Cardiff City against Rotherham United. Cardiff have had a really good past run of games. 1-0 victory against Sunderland, as I mentioned at the beginning. Rotherham United, currently in the relegation zone in 22nd position. Picked up a 1-1 draw against Preston North End in their last game. It was a very frustrating day for Preston last week, as they were trying to get that winning goal, but Rotherham just kept on hanging on. It was a very good point for them in the end, but I expect Cardiff City to pick up all 3 points in this one to make it 4 wins in a row for a 2-1 home win for the Bluebirds. We move on to the John Smith Stadium, where Huddersfield Town are taking on Ipswich Town. Huddersfield Town, new manager Darren Moore. It was a very, very late equaliser for Huddersfield in their last game in the 1-1 draw against Coventry City. 90+5 on the clock. Could say it's the new manager bounce. How long is it going to last, though? Especially their next opponents, Ipswich Town, who have done, way beyond my expectations. Currently in 2nd place. Absolute amazing start for a team that hasn't really brought in, that many players. They brought in a few academy players from top Premier League clubs during the window, but they see themselves in 2nd place. Absolute amazing start to the season. I think in this game, though, Ipswich Town are just going to be a bit too strong for Darren Moore's Huddersfield. I'm going to go for a 2-0 away win for the Tractor Boys in this one. We move on to the MKM Stadium, where Hull City are taking on Plymouth Argyle. This one's going to be a good one. Hull City, really good run of form at the moment, currently sat in 4th place. Plymouth Argyle started off the season pretty well, dipped down a bit, and then they pulled off a 6-2 victory against Norwich City. Bad day at the office for Norwich. We'll come on to them in a moment's time. After these clubs' past couple of games, I expect quite a lot of goals. Hull City picking up a 3-1 victory against Stoke, as I said, above. Prior to Plymouth's 6-2 smashing against Norwich, they got smashed themselves 4-1 against Bristol. So I'm going to go for a 3-2 thriller here. But I'm going to back the home side to pick up all 3 points in this game. We've had a really good start to the season. Hull, I expect that to continue. We move on to the Den, where Millwall are taking on Swansea City. Millwall picking up a 0-0 draw against West Bromwich Albion in their last game. Swansea City picking up their first victory of the season. 3-0 win against Sheffield Wednesday. It was against Sheffield Wednesday, but it will give them some confidence going into this game. Although I do think it's going to end all square. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this one. We move on to Carrow Road. Norwich City against Birmingham City. Both teams having a really good start to the season, but just in the past few games dropping down a bit in form. Norwich, the victims of an absolute smashing in their last game, 6-2 defeat against Plymouth. I expect them to bounce back in this game. It's going to shock them into bouncing back. Birmingham City, not the greatest result in their last game, a 0-0 draw against Queen's Park Rangers. I'm going to go for a 3-0 home win in this one. I think Norwich City are really going to go for it. And they're going to bounce back in style. Home win. We move on to Deepdale. Preston North End against West Bromwich Albion. Preston North End still undefeated. As I mentioned, with the 1-1 draw against Rotherham, it was a pretty frustrating day. We just couldn't find a way through that Rotherham defence. But against a West Brom side who are just sat in mid-table at the moment, picking up lots of draws, 4 draws so far this season. This one is going to be a really tight one. Preston North End, though, 4 out of 4 wins at home this season, all 2-1 scorelines. So I'm just going to repeat the scoreline and I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win for North End. We move on to Loftus Road, where Queen's Park Rangers are taking on Coventry City. Coventry City, we'll start off by talking about the away side. Currently in 18th place. It's not the start that quite a lot expected them to have, although, 5 of them have been draws. Still early on in the season, I did expect Coventry City to drop off following their playoff finish, which, a lot of people said that they would finish in those playoffs again, but I thought that they would dip down. They currently have done that. They are still in it, obviously, because early days. They've only lost the 2 games so far this season. But they need to start turning those draws into wins, 100%. Queen's Park Rangers, they've picked up 2 draws in their last 2 games also. So this one's probably going to end a draw, and that is what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game. We move on to Vicarage Road, where Watford take on Middlesbrough. 2 top sides just in the bottom half of the table. It's not looking good for them. Middlesbrough picking up their first victory of the season, which now sees them still in the relegation zone, but in joint 22nd place alongside Rotherham United. It was a good victory last time out, 2-1 against Southampton, although at the moment Southampton's form isn't the best. This one's a really tough one though, both sides form all over the place. I'm going to back Watford in this one to pick up a 2-1 home win. And then we move on to the final game, onto Ewood Park, where Blackburn Rovers are taking on Leicester City. Blackburn Rovers, in their last game, defeat against Ipswich Town, but what a game it was, a 3-4 thriller. Leicester City, 1-0 victory against Bristol City. Leicester, they've been narrowly getting through these games, picking up very narrow results if you just ignore the Southampton game. Getting through by 1-goal margins. Blackburn Rovers, they will get smashed at times, like the 3-1 defeat against Sunderland and 3-0 defeat against Plymouth Argyle, which definitely wasn't the greatest result. But I think that Blackburn Rovers, they're going to dig deep in this one and they're going to pick up a point. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this one to finish off my Game Week 9 score predictions. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already. I'll see you all in my next video.